Hello and welcome everyone to tonight's edition of the Vorpal board stream. Tonight we're going to be focusing on a game that is currently running on Kickstarter. It is called Cosmic Run Mining Colony, and it's, last time I checked, well over 50% towards its target, and it has, I believe, 11 days left. I've played the prototype a number of times, and I am a backer. So I am comfortable saying, if you are watching this, open another tab, go to Kickstarter, back the game. I want it. You want it. Let's make it happen. All right. So anybody
And
who's
I want
watching,
you to want it.
yeah, and Steve wants you to want it. Which leads me to our guest for the evening. I have with me the designer of Cosmic Run Mining Colony. He's been designing and publishing games for over 10 years, including Biblios and Herbaceous. He's a veteran of Kickstarter. He's got 20 campaigns, I think, under his belt, which is shocking to me, including this one, obviously, but also ones you might have seen, The Little Flower Shop and Let Them Eat Shrimp are two that came across my radar when they were live. I have with me the eponymous Steve Finn of Dr. Finn's Games. Steve, thank you so much for being with me.
Thanks for inviting me, James. It's good to be here. Hello to anyone that's out there watching.
Yeah, and definitely everybody in chat, if you have questions about the game, we're going to be just sort of, as we go through, taking questions from chat. If you have questions about the Kickstarter, about the design, we're going to be talking about a lot of stuff tonight. And then we're going to be doing later on a playthrough of Cosmic Run Mining Colony inside Vorpal board, which is the system that we're chatting in, and also the system that you see the game sitting in as well. So the first thing that I wanted to bring up, Steve, like I said, I'm a backer of the project, which means I get the updates. And earlier in the week, you sent out kind of like maybe the biggest text-wise update I've ever gotten of all the Kickstarters I've backed, and it was fascinating to me. It had to do with your experiences running Kickstarters and really kind of a change in your perspective of how you would like to run Kickstarters in the future. As kind of a serial game designer and an independent publisher, I really don't want to put words in your mouth as to kind of how I read that update. So could you just sort of discuss that change in your mindset and maybe contextualize it a little bit to like kind of how you got there, and how that applies to this campaign?
Sure. It might come across as a little bit of a rant, I'd have to say. Some people are like, I hope you feel better after that.
Yeah.
Like you were angry. I actually wasn't, I'm not really angry about the situation. Um, what's happened is, so I'll give you a little context. I've been making, 20 Kickstarter campaigns. Now, 4 or 5 of those are for little promotional packs for some of the games. So, yeah, maybe 6 of them. And so it's 14 or 15 board games or card games or dice games. Um, and, over the years, I've been publishing these games and I have really great response to by reviewers, by people who play the game. Every time I go to conventions, I'm not saying every single one of my games hits every single person in the right way and everyone loves it, but the vast majority of my games that I've made are all very consistently good. I'm getting better at choosing better artists and things like that, and I am learning how to make things better. Um, and so every time I say, okay, how am I going to make this Kickstarter the one?
Right.
Because every Kickstarter I've had, except for maybe 2 of them where I funded within the first few days, maybe out of the 15 games I funded within a week on 2 of them. Maybe another 10 of them I funded within 3 weeks. And I know there was a couple that came down literally to the last hour.
Mm.
Cog came down to the last hour. And I think I was something like $50 over
Oh
the
my
funding
gosh.
goal.
Yeah, so that's a
That was
couple
a
of
really
years
close
of
one.
couple years off your life on that one.
So I mean, over the years, and there's a lot of people you'll see if you just go to my Kickstarters and you read the comments. Everyone on there is always like, I can never believe why your games aren't making more of an impression on people. What's going on? Because I continue to make what I consider to be really good games.
Yeah.
Now maybe I'm just overestimating my ability. Uh, and it's everybody else's fault. I'm making great games, and look at this. But I've come to think that Kickstarter, and what I've been trying to do is play what I consider to be a game. And even from the start, the very first couple ones I had, I was like resistant to stretch goals.
Right.
But then I would get very mean emails saying, if you're gonna ask for extra money, then we should be getting something. And I
Yeah.
said, okay, I'll buy that. That makes sense. It's reasonable. But I mean, my honest opinion is that stretch goals now they're a game. They're a psychological toy to get people to, and they seem, and it works sometimes, I guess. But like, hey, here's another card after 5,000 more dollars. A card does not cost $5,000. I mean, I'm doing it on this present Kickstarter because that's what other people say.
Yeah.
And over the years, I have all sorts of wonderful backers, and I love them. And they all have ideas about what I should do. So duty free shipping,
Yep.
do the duty free shipping. Well, I did that, and I lost a lot of money because I'm not getting the numbers. In order for me to really make duty free shipping work, I have to have at least 300 to 400 backers in the EU,
Yep.
or in other places, and I'm not getting that. And when I had duty free shipping for many years, I did that. I shipped games to the UK to try to sell them directly to EU and UK people. And I sold some, but I did not do any near the quantity. Uh, you need better art. You need more interesting stretch goals. You need social stretch goals. You need to lower the shipping cost. You need to raise the cost of the game.
Right.
I mean, basically,
Every
everybody
combination. Yeah.
has told me something.
Yep.
Advertise more. Do a BGG contest.
Yep.
Do advertising on BGG. All of that. None of it has done anything. I mean, maybe it's helped me reach the stretch goals, but it's never helped me do anything other than that.
Yeah. Kind of make that,
So
have that breakthrough.
yeah,
The big hitter one.
the big
Right.
hitter.
Yeah.
And I think I know. I mean, I think I'm coming to understand why I don't have the big hitter. Because the games that I'm making a lot of times, I have to admit, I don't think I'm making something that's crazy unique, innovative,
Yeah.
outstanding. I'm not. This game that we're about to play is not earth-shattering, unbelievable game, something different you've ever tried before. But I think it's a very solid, interesting game.
Yep.
It's going to have really nice components. I think the art looks nice, especially when you see it, in front of you and
Yep.
when it's going to be finished. Um, but it's not like I mean, what I think I do is I try to make a 30-minute game, interesting decisions as you go through it,
Yep.
and I want to just make it streamlined. I very rarely have unnecessary rules. Things make sense. And I think that I play test them a lot. I make sure that these games are solid games. And, sometimes they're not overly thematic. I'm not the kind of game player. So I make games for the kind of games that I like to play.
Right.
And I think what happens is on Kickstarter, a lot of the people that go to Kickstarter, go to Kickstarter, find games, aren't looking for the casual, lighter game. Sometimes they are,
Yep.
and some games succeed. For example, Herbaceous succeeded. I think Herbaceous, though, some people say, well, why did Herbaceous succeed and not my other games? Now, I don't know. Just, am I talking too much?
No.
Should we get playing? Oh, okay.
No. No.
All
No.
right. So, um, one thing so I'll just point out in
Yeah.
case people don't know or you don't know, Herbaceous is a joint effort
Yeah. That was a
by
three
Pencil
three
First
person
Games.
team. Yeah.
It's
Maybe.
Pencil First Games and Dr. Finn's Games.
Yep.
We have Keith Majeka and Beth Sobel and Ed Baraf and and I working together. I usually design the main game, and Beth does the artwork. Ed oversees the whole thing and often gives me advice about what I should do. But most of the time, it's me designing the game, and then there's Keith who comes in and does the solo version with oftentimes, in fact, zero communication with me. I mean, I just met Keith for the first time a month ago, and we never had any communication other than some random emails that we were both CC'd on.
Right.
So the solo things that happen with Pencil First Games have nothing to do with me. Keith just does a really good job of taking my game and turning it into a solo. But what happened is, so why is that so successful? Well, one, I think Beth's art for Herbaceous was just
Out,
striking,
yeah, outstanding. Yes.
and and I think that was one of the main things. I don't think, in particular, I don't think I designed an amazing game. I mean, I think it's a good, light, fun game. It's not. I don't think it's my best game by any means.
Well, it's funny because
You know,
I saw on Twitter, on board game Twitter, a couple days ago, and it was somebody saying, every day I think that maybe I figured out what Kickstarter's all about, and every day I then get disproven. And somebody replied, and I wish I'd written it down, but somebody for this interview, but somebody replied, yeah, I like, Dr. Finn's games too. Like, essentially, the person was saying, these are games that are really good. I don't understand why you have games get 2,000 backers that, they look good too, right? But like they don't really look different in my opinion in any way. I mean, obviously you have the big, huge miniature style games, right? That you have tons of
right, right,
minis,
and
and
yeah,
that's like that's a total different market,
right,
really. And you have a lot of people who back those games just because they're really into minis and they're going to paint them, and that's kind of what they're looking for. But you also have a lot of Euro style, clever games that do well. And I don't think I'm coming to the conclusion that nobody knows the answer, right? Like
yeah.
every answer I've ever seen is very easily disproven by either successes or failures that kind of don't make any sense. And so when I read that update from you, I thought, this is somebody who's gone through this multiple times, which I think would be incredibly difficult. I'm kind of gearing up mentally for our own Kickstarter, and already kind of having like anxiety building inside me. But to have gone through a lot of right down to the skin of your teeth type campaigns, and that obviously you personally put a ton of work into these games, to not see them fun kind of and pop up into that higher level, I understand would. I'm
Yeah.
impressed that you continue to do it.
Well,
Honestly.
I mean, to be honest, I mean, I do get a little upset. There's certain days, and maybe I jump too quickly to writing updates. And making decisions. I
Yeah.
make decisions all the time very quickly,
Yeah.
and I decide to just go with it.
Yep.
And then 5 minutes later, someone will say, "Hey, do you really want to do that?" And I'll say, "Maybe I'll backpedal a little."
Yeah.
But I usually stick with the main idea of the change. Um, but when it came to like Pencil First Games, the other reason that it's successful, I think, is because Ed, Pencil First Games, had his own following.
Hmm.
I have my own following. Beth has her following.
Right.
Keith has his following.
Yep.
So I think when you put the whole team together, there's going to be a more natural, snowballing effect. And so I could see why that does. And also, I mean, Ed does. I've learned a lot from Ed in the way that he presents things, and the way that the games are packaged. Um, and I'm trying to learn from that. But even that, I don't think that's it.
Yep.
So the answer to me is, also, just very quickly, for people who didn't read the update, what I basically said in it was, I'm giving up on the stretch goals, and I'm going to actually just start using some of my own money. I'm going to lower the funding goals that I want. I'm going to rely on the same, literally 100 to 400 backers. There's probably 100 people who have backed every one of my projects. I
Yeah.
know, it's
Yeah.
someday I wanted to go in and see that. There might even be 200.
And they're probably tearing their hair out every time when they see why isn't this the one
Yeah,
that's blown up, because obviously you do have a following, which is
I
cool,
I definitely am following.
which is
And
great
so
that you
I'm
can.
saying, hey,
Yeah.
I'm just going to use them.
Yep.
Well, help, ask them for help. Yet
Right.
again, not
Right.
use them, but
Yep.
ask
Yep.
them for help to give me the initial funding that I need. I I mean, do I make the goal or not? I mean, I have a good job. I'm not financially strapped by any means, so I can afford to risk some of my own money at this point in my life. 10 years ago, I was not in that situation. That financial situation has nothing to do with my board gaming, because this Yeah, I put in a ton of work,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
would say if I calculated how much money I made
Don't do it.
over the years for the amount
Don't
of
do
money,
it.
I mean, it'd be like pennies an hour.
Yeah.
You
Yep.
know, it's I I'm not necessarily doing it because I want to make a lot of money. That would be nice. Uh, I kind of do it because I love it. Um, but at the same time, there's a lot of stress that's involved. So, people, and then another thing people say is, "You're such a great game designer. Just focus on designing games and don't worry about self-publishing. Let other people do that." And I could try to do that. And I've actually tried to do that. I hired someone as an agent of mine who went out to all the different companies, and I was not successful. So, recently I just contacted another publisher to see if they'd be interested in working with me. Or most recently, someone else who is a friend of mine connected me with a publisher, and they're like, "Well, you could submit your board game, but we're all full until 2022, right?"
Yep.
So it's not like all of a sudden I could just say, "Hey, I'm Steve Finn, take
Right.
my game,"
Right.
because there's a lot of people that are really good designers
Yep.
out there. I mean, so it's a saturated market. I think I'm just gonna keep plugging away. I'll keep learning from my mistakes, I think the main change in my business model is I've been trying for years to just say I'm skipping the distributor, and in part that was because distributors weren't interested in my product. Uh, but also because I thought, well, why pay a distributor who's gonna, like, if I make a Kickstarter for $25, I have to sell it to a distributor for 12.50.
Yep.
With all the stuff that comes in, I make $1 on each one by the time the distributor comes through. So I said, all right, I'm going to try to just build up a following, and through word of mouth, people playing my games, I'll succeed. And that did not come to fruition the way that I was hoping it might. So now I have what's called a consolidator. And for people who are out there who don't know what a consolidator is, a consolidator is someone who sells games to distributors.
Okay. And
So, for
you
example,
can count me as somebody who didn't know. I'm
yeah,
with everybody else who didn't know what a
but
consolidator did.
just so you understand the way it works, the retailer gets to sell it for basically whatever they want, but they buy it at 50% of the selling price.
Yep.
So a $30 game, the retailer buys for 15. Distributor usually buys that from the publisher for about 12, for like 40%. Um, so whatever the percentage is.
Yep.
And now if you have a consolidator, it's 32%. Right. So
Yep.
there's it is. A $30 game is basically I'm selling it for whatever it is, $8,
Right. Right.
right? And I have it made in China, shipped from there to the distributor. I have to pay for all that other stuff. So it's and now then people are like, well, I want to have it in the international stuff. How do you
Right.
deal with
Right.
that? Right.
Yeah.
So anyway, there's just so many things that are going on. But uh, if this works out, I don't have to have them in my garage. I don't have to try to
Right.
do anything. And then the idea is that instead of selling 1,000 games to 1,000 people, I sell 5,000 games. Instead of making $5 on each game I
Right.
sell to everybody, I make $1, but I sell 5,000 of them,
Yep.
and I don't do anything.
Right.
But we'll see. But
At least
that's what
that's
I
the
know. Yeah,
theory, right?
that's
Yeah.
the theory.
Yeah.
Am I going to sell that many? I don't know.
Right.
But I just got Waters of Nereus in, and my consolidator basically said my minimum I need is 600. So I think he's going to sell all the 600 retail versions I have
Killer.
in the first week.
Yeah. All right.
I'm losing money on that, but that's okay because I ended up spending more than because I didn't. I was before the campaign began. I didn't think I was going to be using a consolidator,
Ah, got it.
so I'm ending up selling it for less.
Yeah.
But I just want to give it a try.
Yeah.
Anyway,
All right.
we should
Cool.
probably get going, right?
Yeah. Well, that
Yeah.
I like hearing that stuff because I think everybody in the industry who follows designers sometimes maybe you talk to people who think, oh, well, Steve Finn's designed a ton of games, right? Like he's wildly successful. But
Oh yeah.
I don't think that people, you go to conventions and you see the people behind the desks and in the booths and you think, man, these people are just crushing it. But when you talk to designers, this isn't an easy business. This and it's a bummer as somebody like me who loves board games to talk to designers and sort of find out, well, oh man, that's not really a lucrative gig to be in a lot of ways. And that's, I don't know, that to me that's a bummer. You know, I would love to hear the stories of, oh no, this was great. It's something I can do for a living. I don't have to do it, you know, at nighttime and on weekends and all that sort of stuff, because like
Yeah.
I love this hobby, and I don't love the idea that in order for me to enjoy the hobby, I have to rely on people doing it for the love of it, essentially,
Mm.
right? Like, in that, it's a, on one hand, it was a bummer to read that update, but it also, I guess, it was exciting for me that you were kind of leaning into the situation and trying something different, and you know, just sort of see what comes of it. You know, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
You know, I can only hope.
So, you mentioned the art on this game, and
Yeah.
I love the art on this game. This is a prototype, just for anybody watching, so that you know. These are prototype components, and I can zoom in on some of these cards here. But what I like about them is it's like, and I don't know if this was maybe the spirit animal you were going for here, but like, to me, it's like 70s pulpy sci-fi novel. You know, like it's almost like a paperback science fiction novel that I would pick up that's like you know, from the 80s and 70s. And I just like it. I like that it's like exploration based, but it doesn't have like aliens and stuff in it. I
Right.
just like that view of kind of a space world. Um, is this something that you knew you wanted to go with right out of the gate, or how does
Well,
it work?
the only guidance I gave to the artist was uh I wanted it to be, this is a different artist than I've used in the past for
Mm,
my other cosmic runs, which were a little lighter.
yeah.
And I said I want this to be kind of gritty.
Yep.
You know, it's going to be on a harsh planet. We're going to be trying to survive. Um, I didn't use the pulpy science fiction kind of thing, but I
Yeah.
think that's essentially the same kind of thing that I said. And I knew that I wanted lots of cool little illustrations, and I think you know, on all the different cards, I think that he really captured that well. And on the board, um, the main board, you know, it's hard to see on the TV,
Yeah, and
as I know, but
I'm zooming in.
screen,
I'm zooming in so people
you know,
who are on the thing can see as well. But yeah, I like the board has almost like a whole vista across it
yeah,
behind the
there's a whole
cards.
vista of just a
Yeah.
kind of a barren land with a lot of equipment.
Yep.
So
Yeah, and I the first thing that struck me, it's like I'm a big Planet of the Apes fan,
mm,
and I always was very much struck in the opening of Planet of the Apes where you think he's on Mars, right? And they're
mm,
kind of like going across this barren landscape, and everything's
right.
orange, and it's like kind of weird future tech. They're in their spacesuits, and it just, that kind of feeling with the weird synthesizers going in the background and stuff, like it clicked for me art style wise. So I like the art style a lot, and hopefully it resonates with other people. But I think it's really neat.
Thanks.
Um, so is that, how do you find, like, this is just a curiosity of mine. I don't even know how I would do it. How do you go out and find an illustrator? Do you have a Rolodex of illustrators? Do you talk to
No,
other
well,
designers?
you know, it a lot of it. Sometimes it's different ways that it happens. Early in my career, when I was, you know, I couldn't afford anybody, I would just go on like Board Game Geek and
Yep.
say, you know, I need help. I'm looking for someone who can afford, you know, who can give me a break, because I
Right.
don't. I mean, this was before Kickstarter. I was like, you know, so I think the first project I had, I paid like $250 for Scripts and Scribes, the
Okay.
dice game, to like a student in the UK.
Okay.
You know, as an art student. You know, over time though, I started making connections, and then you know, I occasionally get an email. You know, there's random people who
Mhm.
know my company. That's how this happened. This happened by an email. So if there are illustrators out there, send me a link. I'll look at your stuff, and oftentimes I'll just say I'm going to file it away.
Right. Right.
But if it fits the kind of style that I'm looking for, you know, I get a lot of artists saying, you know, showing me, you know, like zombie, gory kind of stuff.
Oh
It's
yeah.
just
Yeah.
not. I mean, it's just not my style.
Yep.
But this guy was right in line.
Yeah. That's cool.
Um, and so yeah, Marius, he's very good. I think yeah. I went one day and looked at the other games that he did, but you know, you could look up his name, and he's done some other neat things. I think there's a game called Fleet that he did.
Okay.
It's a ship, you know, in the ocean. But anyway, yeah, I liked it. So also, like with pencil first games, for example, Ed, the way that Herbaceous the way actually our relationship started is I sent him Biblios to review because he
Yep.
does reviews. Um, and then, we struck up. I sent him more games. And then at one point, he just sent me this flower art or this herb art from Herbaceous. He just sent it to me and said, "Can you make a game with this?" I said, "Damn right I can.
Yeah.
Just give me something." And so I made a game.
Oh man, that's cool.
But that's how I met, but that's how I got in contact with Beth.
Okay.
So I did hire Beth Sobel for my Waters of Nereus,
Yep.
which I think came out outstanding.
Yep.
Um, but she's really busy. So by making certain connections I'm getting with better and better artists, I'll say that I am like so excited because I am just sent off my Institute for Magical Arts. I'm going to make a remake of that game. To I'm not going to say the name of the artist, but it is my favorite board game artist, and I am just shocked that I'm working with this
See, that's
person.
cool. I saw you tweet
However,
about that.
it's gonna be a huge investment.
Okay.
So
All right. So everybody's got to come out and buy it.
yeah,
Okay.
or I'm gonna have a couple promo pack Kickstarters just to raise the money
Okay.
to get the illustrations because I can't afford just to pay for the illustrations.
Okay.
But this
So.
game is it's a two-player game, but I'm gonna have a unique illustration on every card.
Oh wow. Okay.
But
So
anyway, yeah.
lots. Yeah.
So this was just another connection.
Cool.
Um,
So
all right, let's get playing.
All right, so we're gonna get playing. I have one final question, and then we'll do a quick break, and then we'll start our game
Yeah.
session. My final question. This should be an easy one. This was from my children. Where did you get those jewels? Because
Gems.
they wanted them, and they wanted to run out of my living room with those things and play with them.
You want to buy some?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I bought them on Amazon.
Really, it was just the
Yeah,
guy.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna ask you
Well,
for the link.
you're gonna take a break. I'll go on my Amazon account and see if I can tell you that. You have to watch out. They also have bigger ones,
Okay,
and you might accidentally buy the big ones,
yeah.
which is what I did do the first time.
Because those ones, I kept telling my kids, I don't own this game. This is somebody else's.
Yeah.
You can't walk off with those and go play with them. They were drawn to them psychically, I think. So, okay. So thanks for answering the questions. We are going to go to a quick break, and then we'll start the playthrough. 1 second. Talk to you on the other side of the break.
All right.